How did I get into IIT? By accident, by sheer force of wishful thinking. But there was a strong desire कि अंदर से मध्य प्रदेश के बाहर निकलना है. And we were like a low income family. तो ये पता था कि मम्मी पापा पढ़ने के लिए मना नहीं करेंगे. Right? This was a mela. For me, everything was a big fascination. So my father and my parents at that point got so many updates from me. I remember the first time we were taken to the workshop space, जहाँ पे you get a lot of, different workspaces, है ना? And I said, Papa, यहाँ पे सब कुछ है. Like I would explain every little thing to him because it was such a big mela.
Yeah.
So they had to come up with a award that can define what all I have done. So they came up with like most enthusiastic fresher. Because that was defining all the things I was into.
Yeah.
So Sajhe Sapne is a non-profit that is ensuring that if there is a Sapne wali in villages, there is a woman with fire in her belly who wants to do something, does not know what, but something where she's, can claim her independence financially, socially. We just want to make sure she has an option of that thriving career pathway. She has an option of a growth pathway. क्योंकि गाँव में ना career शब्द तो exist ही नहीं करता है. At best, we talk about livelihoods कि जैसे तैसे पैसे आ जाए. We don't talk about कि उसके पास एक long-term growth pathway होना चाहिए. Especially for young women from Dalit, Bahujan, Adivasi caste groups. Young women from lower income families, we don't even think कि उनके aspiration क्या है, उनका potential क्या है, and we think they have immense potential. So someone had to trust the potential, and it was my family that trusted the potential. It was IIT that trusted the potential. Ambuj and Professor Rao trusted Professor Sagar and Professor Rao trusted that potential. So you need this. You need this. What we call in IIT. In Sajhe, Sapna Dal, team for your dreams.
Yes.
A set of people who get excited because you're growing. मतलब उनके पेट में अच्छी गुड़गुड़ होती है कि जब तुम आगे बढ़ रहे हो. And I had many of those. And that's why, from Madhopura to Berkeley, you're able to do that.
Totally.
So that's what we're doing. Sajhe Sapne mein, we're launching careers of young rural women in STEM and management domains. Okay. Domains where their entry is not imagined right now. When job applications for big corporates come, right? Everyone wants an out-of-the-box thinker. Everyone wants to deal with big challenging problems creatively. Nothing is more exciting space than social sector to give you that out-of-the-box thinking, to give you that solid challenges. And will push your creativity to come up with an amazing solution. So if the problem solving is not your fun thing, if you really like straight, isko aise karna hai, I've followed instruction, then of course do something else. But it's a very exciting space.
Yeah.
So the moment we started Sajhe, we needed money, and the money came from crowdfunding. So we did our first crowdfunding campaign, and a lot of the money came from IIT network, my network. And the way it happened so is that, people had been following my work for some time and they knew what all I have been doing after IIT, during IIT. And I think that credibility of knowing a person, a lot of women stepped up. I mean, men too, but a lot of women really stepped up. And I think the fact that Sajhe mein we were talking about potential. We were saying that rural women shouldn't be known for their pain, they should be known for their potential.
Yes.
I think that resonated with so many women.
Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Dil Se IIT Delhi podcast. Today we have with us Surabhi Yadav. Surabhi Yadav is a Sapne wali who works with other Sapne wali. She is the founder and CEO of two big initiatives in gender and rural development, Sajhe Sapne and Basanti, Women at Leisure. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Okay, so let's start with your entry in IIT, how you got into it, and how was your campus life? How was your experience here?
Oof. How did I get into IIT? By accident, by sheer force of wishful thinking. I grew up in Khargone, which is a town in Madhya Pradesh, and I grew up in Khargone mein na, nobody knew about IITs. I mean, what we did know कि government colleges, engineering colleges are there out there in the world, which are nice, है ना?
Okay.
And my life growing up was one in Khargone, the other was in Bundelkhand, rural Bundelkhand. That's where my parents were from.
Okay.
तो growing up बस यही दो जगह देखी थी. जब school है तो I will be in Khargone, जब छुट्टियां हैं तो we'll be in.
So very limited.
Very limited. Like these
exposure.
2 places were it. So I had this very strong desire कि मुझे मध्य प्रदेश से बाहर निकलना है. Not even Khargone. I wanted to get out of Madhya Pradesh, and I don't know where did that come from. But there was a strong desire कि अंदर से मध्य प्रदेश के बाहर निकलना है. And we were like a low income family. तो ये पता था कि मम्मी पापा पढ़ने के लिए मना नहीं करेंगे, right? 12th में a man called my father at midnight, asking him that your daughter is gonna go to Kota with my daughter.
Oh.
And I will take care of all the education what it needs, but she's gonna go. And within 3 days we were in Kota. That's how I ended up in IIT.
It must be very happy about
it was amazing. And I think the funniest thing was that everyone in Khargone said Gudiya ka ITI mein ho gaya hai. Like finally she is in ITI. Because again nobody knew about IITs back then. I entered in 2009 in IIT. But yeah, that was the journey.
Okay,
to coming to IIT.
That's great. So once you made it to IIT, how was the campus life, especially considering the fact that, you know, traditionally women and IIT, the ratio.
Yeah,
so
ratio is pretty messed up. IIT was a big mela for me. It was a big, big fair. I loved it. So I remember when I came to IIT Delhi campus, I saw the library. And library was 3 floors. And you were able to touch the books. And then someone told me you're even allowed to take the books with you.
Wow.
I cannot tell you, I had the biggest cheer. I called my father, आपको पता है यहाँ पे किताबें कितनी सारी हैं and you're allowed to take them with you. This was a mela. For me, everything was a big fascination. So my father and my parents at that point got so many updates from me. I remember the first time we were taken to the workshop space, जहाँ पे you get a lot of you know, different workspaces, है ना? And I said, Papa, यहाँ पे सब कुछ है. Like, I would explain every little thing to him because it was such a big mela.
Yeah.
So they had to come up with an award that can define what all I have done. So they came up with like most enthusiastic fresher. Because that was defining all the things I was into.
Yeah.
Campus was fun in a sense that I got some of my bestest friends, my closest friends are from IIT. IIT was, you know, it was a formative experience. I did everything that my heart wanted to do. In retrospect, I do think that there were a lot of things that I would like to change about the campus life. You know, like the sexism and all of misogyny that just casually exist on campus. I think I would like to change that. But for me, it was a big mela. And I loved it. I mean, it is, you know, it's been a home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can say that the enthusiasm still persists.
Well, once you give the award, you have to, you know, I'm the beholder of that award. I have to make sure that I'm worthy of it.
Yeah, as it should. As it should. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what did you do after you graduated from here?
I crashed in Kailash hostel without pay. I'm sorry. No, after IIT, so I had always wanted to work in the social sector. The corporate never excited me. And I think at that point, I graduated in 2014. We didn't have a lot of role models in the social sector. There was some, and there were hardly any nonprofits coming in IIT and hiring. So I went to Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley, and I did my second master's there. Okay. Master's in development practice. And then I came back and started Sajhe. I mean, I started my own nonprofit.
Okay, great. So tell us something about Sajhe.
So Sajhe Sapne is a nonprofit that is ensuring that if there is a Sapne wali in villages, there is a woman with fire in her belly who wants to do something, does not know what, but something where she's, you know, can claim her independence financially, socially. We just want to make sure she has an option of that thriving career pathway. She has an option of a growth pathway. क्योंकि गाँव में ना career शब्द तो exist ही नहीं करता है. At best, we talk about livelihoods कि जैसे तैसे पैसे आ जाए. We don't talk about कि उसके पास एक long term growth pathway होना चाहिए, especially for young women from Dalit, Bahujan, Adivasi caste groups, young women from lower income families. We don't even think कि उनके aspiration क्या है, उनका potential क्या है, and we think they have immense potential. So someone had to trust the potential, and it was my family that trusted the potential. It was IIT that trusted the potential. Ambuj and Professor Rao trusted the, Professor Sagar and Professor Rao trusted that potential. So you need this, you need this, what we call in Sajhe, Sapna Dal, team for your dreams.
Yes.
A set of people who get excited because you're growing. मतलब उनके पेट में अच्छी गुड़गुड़ होती है कि जब तुम आगे बढ़ रहे हो. And I had many of those. And that's why, from Madhopura to Berkeley, you're able to do that.
Totally.
So that's what we're doing. Sajhe Sapne mein, we're launching careers of young rural women in STEM and management domains. Okay. Domains where their entry is not imagined right now. तो कोडिंग हो गया, प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट हो गया, प्राइमरी मैथ टीचिंग हो गया, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप हो गया, and let them pave a long term career pathway. So that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Okay. So can you elaborate on this misunderstood concept of independence or maybe skill learning for rural women?
जैसे ही आप 18 साल के हुए हो या 17 साल के हुए हो, 16 साल के हुए हो, women have what 3-4 options in front of them. Get married, right? If at all you're in a community where men have started getting educated and they are demanding कि हमको पढ़ी लिखी बीवी चाहिए, then all of a sudden there are government colleges, local college, private colleges or ITIs. Most of the colleges in the country don't have enough staff, don't have qualified staff, doesn't have market updated curriculum. तो बहुत से के पास degrees हैं, they mean nothing. है ना, नाम के लिए हमारे पास डिग्रीज हैं औरतों के पास, बहुत सौ के पास. So very traditional roles of caring, caregiving is what we give to women, right? Teaching, nursing is the best you're going to take a jump. अगर और ही moonshot करना है तो पुलिस में कुछ औरतों का हो जाएगा जिनने बार-बार एग्जाम दे दिया है, right? But most often it's सिलाई, कढ़ाई, बुनाई, beautician. Then there is a wave of the whole papad pickle model. कि अगर 10 औरतें साथ में आ रही हैं तो खाना बनाएंगी और लोकल मार्केट में they can process it and sell it. मुझे इनमें से किसी से भी, like as profession I don't have an issue.
Of course.
Right? The issue is कि वो लड़की 5 साल तक सिलाई कढ़ाई बुनाई कर रही होगी and yet she's not going to have jump in her skills. She's not going to have jump in her independence, jump in her network. So all the ways, all the ways we are thinking about a career milestone कि मुझे ये सीखना है, मुझे ये exposure चाहिए, मुझे ये network चाहिए, वो तो तुमने उस लड़की का गायब कर दिया.
Choice ही नहीं
है. There is no choice for it. And that's what we want to change. हम लोग साझे में we are saying that our work should be such that we shift the way innovators, funders, government, IITs think about rural talent. Shift our thinking from livelihoods to growth pathways.
In this country, there's this very common notion कि, पढ़ के क्या करोगी, कमा के at the end तुम क्या करोगी? At the end you have to get married, you have to settle, you have to take care of the kids. So this is a kind of mentality that has also seeped in a lot of women, especially in the rural regions.
Even in urban India, I would say.
So what would you like to say to those women who maybe think this way?
Women or everyone, I think the conditioning is so, we protect that social conditioning, right?
Yeah, even the families, they have this thing in their mind ki theek hai, okay, you do your job, you grow, but that's not the end goal. That's not, they fail to see the independence and how important the independence of a woman is. So what's your say on that?
I actually think that they do know what is the importance of a woman's independence, and that's what's scary.
Yeah, that's too powerful.
I think too powerful. An independent woman is going to shake things up.
Absolutely.
Like she's going to stir the pot in some sense, and that's not a very nice thing for a lot of people, right? सोचो ना पढ़ लिख के क्या हो जाएगा, and सोचो कि जब कोई लड़की अपने पैरों पे खड़ी होगी तो क्या हो जाएगा. Like sincerely ask that question.
Yeah.
Because when you are a person who has emotional and financial and social level of agency, freedom, you can actually be a very capable partner to wherever you're going. तुम शादी कर रही हो तो जीवन साथी जिसको बना रही हो, तुम जीवन साथी हो रही हो उसकी या नहीं हो रही हो.
That's so true.
right?
And that's fair.
It's fair to everyone. But I think just for women, I would say अगर तुम खुद के पैरों पे खड़े नहीं होना सीखोगे, खुद के लिए सोचना नहीं सीखोगे, खुद से सोचना नहीं सीखोगे, तुम खुद से अनजान रह जाओगे. You to become a valuable member of this any social group, be it your home or a village or a whatever, you need to be able to, one, have thoughts, and two, then communicate those thoughts, right? Yeah.
Okay. So coming back to your remarkable initiative,
Yeah.
How many women do you have currently? What are the
Yeah.
things they're doing? How do you
Yeah.
guys, like, what is the aura? What is the, how does it go?
It's a very dancey aura. We dance a lot. We love
lovely.
dancing. Oh my God. Sajhe mein we love dancing. It's crazy. So Sajhe is only 3.5 years old. I came back to India in 2019 and then COVID hit, and that's when Sajhe started. Just think about the language. Hamara itna sara, so much of our language is just English jargon. It's not even accessible to someone who speaks Hindi or a dialect of Hindi.
True.
And the knowledge is away from her lifestyle. Right? जैसे coding को हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? We don't know. And if you don't know what you call it in Hindi or in your own language, in your own regional language, how are you going to aspire to become a coder?
That's true.
So we did that. In last 3 years, around 100 plus young rural women from 7 different states, 50 plus villages have graduated from Sajhe. So now they're working as coders in different organizations. They're working as project associates, so operation associate, field associate, communication associate, all anything that is a project base, basically. Sajhe, we're designing it with a lot of feminist thought. So that means the pedagogy or the learning culture of the place, Sapna centers we call them, should have like following principles. One, your curriculum, your learning, whatever it is, pedagogy, the way you teach, should be rooted in their reality, in their life stories, in their lived experience. तो अगर आप एक्सेल सिखाना है आपको एज ए टूल, या आपको गूगल सर्च सिखाना है एज ए टूल, या आपको कोडिंग सिखाना है एज ए टूल, द एग्जाम्पल्स आर नॉट गोना बी अबाउट समथिंग दैट दे हैव नॉट सीन. इट्स गोना बी अबाउट कि अच्छा खेत में अगर पानी इतने इतने बजे जाना है तो हाउ कैन यू कोड अ program for
like a very practical approach
to their lives.
To their lives, huh?
So it should be rooted in their context.
Absolutely,
right?
Very important.
Right? Totally. Like we have entrepreneurial mindset as one of the curriculum pillars, and it's called पहलवानी.
Okay.
कि पहलवानी मतलब पहल कर पाना और समस्याओं से भिड़ पाना.
Okay.
So now instead of calling it entrepreneurial mindset, the word is big. The word is not related to their lives. The word is not related to their language. It doesn't stick.
Yes.
So you call पहलवानी, and then everything becomes a akhada. So yeah. So we think for any education to be revolutionary, it should be rooted in the context of the learner. It should be rejoicing. It should be rational building, and it should be rooted in relationship building.
Absolutely.
So that's the vibe of Sajhe.
Yeah. And we hope that more and more women get the benefit.
Yeah,
and,
that's the hope.
Yeah, they participate. And okay, so what were your learnings from IIT that helped you while you were setting up Sajhe Sapne, and how did the IIT community in general contribute to all of this?
In a big way, actually. Sajhe started in the middle of the second wave of COVID. So like, transportation was shut. Non-profits were struggling for funding because all the funding was channeled towards COVID relief. So a lot of existing non-profits were struggling, let alone a new idea getting funding, right? So the moment we started Sajhe, we needed money, and the money came from crowdfunding. So we did our first crowdfunding campaign, and a lot of the money came from IIT network, my network. And the way it happened so is that, people had been following my work for some time, and they knew what all I have been doing after IIT, during IIT. And I think that credibility of knowing a person, a lot of women stepped up. I mean, men too, but a lot of women really stepped up. And I think the fact that Sajhe mein we were talking about potential. We were saying that rural women shouldn't be known for their pain, they should be known for their potential.
Yes.
I think that resonated with so many women. Because a lot of times women have not been trusted for what all the powers that they have within, right?
Yes.
And I think a lot of women resonated with that. So many so many women from IIT Delhi contributed to the first fund that we raised for Sajhe. And I think that's how Sajhe got established. Of course, the IIT Delhi, tag really helps get you entry in a lot of doors. Because of IIT Delhi network, because of Professor Sagar and Professor Rao's network, I got in touch with this social accelerator, innovation accelerator, their CEO Manoj, who is now actually Social Alpha. They're sitting in IIT campus as well now.
Yeah.
Right? So you see how it plays out. There's
Absolutely.
a big privilege of the network that IIT gives you.
Yes.
And of course, I think people get very curious when an IIT student goes to villages. I think that curiosity takes you to a lot of interesting conversations, and a lot of people want to support you in some sense.
Yeah.
So that was a big part of the community.
Great.
There are Sapne Walis which are working in companies started by IIT alumni.
Okay, that's lovely.
That's amazing, because you need to open the doors, right? Like half of the time people don't open the doors for young rural women. Ki, acha yaar, theek hai, achhe kaam kar rahe ho, but inko aata kya hai, right?
So the first question was just the skills that you learned while at IIT that might have helped you.
I just have, I hardly have hesitation in general, and I think being in an environment of IIT, it only became, why do you have to hesitant of anything, right? I think so that is a good quality for being an entrepreneur, because then you can just ask for help. You can reach out to people very easily. IIT made me very analytical. So that helps you when you're dealing with complex systems or complex problems. You can break things down in frameworks. You can break things down in steps. So, and I still do that. I think that's a very IIT thing.
So quickly switching to your very interesting project, Basanti, Women at Leisure.
Yeah.
It's all about reclaiming leisure for women. So what is the idea? What is the inspiration?
The idea is to understand women's inner lives. Like, who are women when they're not busy being superheroes or busy being absolutely oppressed abla nari? Wo beech mein kya identity hai, right? Like, there is because mainstream mein these are the two extremes, right? Like, Bollywood shows rural women or women in general, like very seedhi sadhi.
Yes.
And then there's another, ekdam superhero hogi wo bilkul, ekdam, hai na? So the idea was to get to know women as people. What goes inside them when they are not performing a role, when they're not busy being a mother, they are not busy being the good woman. What shows up, right? So it's exploring time as a feminist issue. It's exploring labor and space as feminist issues. And I think the inspiration was just the curiosity of my own mother, like for my mother. Like, who was my mother when she was not busy being my mother? And unfortunately, that curiosity spiked only after she passed away. But after she passed away, I just didn't know who she was as a person. Like, what was she thinking when she was not taking care of me?
To the other women in general, would you like to shed some light upon the role and importance of ownership of their time, which is the foundation of Basanti, I believe?
Yeah.
Because as you said, there are always labels.
Yeah.
So women, the importance of being themselves, owning their own time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going back to the same thing about getting to know yourself, right?
Like, because women are mostly, if they're not doing anything, they're either occupied with doing ghar ka kaam or busy with their children, with their parents, with
a lot of work. All of that is a lot of work.
Parenting their siblings. So there's always someone or something that they're nurturing there. But what about themselves?
Yeah. So even when they're not doing something, they're doing something.
Exactly.
Right? Like, even in their nothingness,
there's
some productivity.
So where is that nothingness? So that's what I would like you to shed some light on. Because a lot of women also feel that there's no, like my mother.
Yeah.
She wouldn't feel validated if she does nothing.
Absolutely.
Because that's the kind of conditioning she's been under.
I mean, that's the kind of conditioning a system like capitalistic system or a casteist system is going to produce, right? Like, your worth is decided by how much money you make.
Exactly.
Right? And that's a very capitalistic, patriarchal definition of success. IIT mein bhi aap dekhoge, to day 1 job, day 2 jobs, I mean, people go crazy. Like, your whole goal of coming to IIT is not to discover yourself, not to shape yourself, but is to get that day 1 job, right? And I think that narrative is very gripping and very strong, not
Yes.
just in IITs but beyond.
Yeah.
So for men or for boys, I would say, they earn the right of leisure just by being the breadwinners of the family. Just by the virtue of the potential of this person going to be earning, right?
Yes.
So लड़कों और आदमियों के लिए it's something that you just have. You are allowed to sit idle on a roadside playing cards.
Yes. Correct.
You are allowed, your worth will not be questioned if you're sitting and with your stretched leg reading newspaper in the morning.
Yeah, there's nothing exceptional about it.
Nothing
It's
exceptional about it. But for women, if you're doing nothing, potentially you're worthless.
Yeah, you are doing nothing.
You're doing nothing. And you're constantly in this race of proving that you're good enough or you're enough.
Yeah.
Leisure, I mean, the project is named after my mother, Basanti. And I really like that name so much for it. Apart from the fact that she was the inspiration, I loved just the name because Basanti means a time that allows flourishing, right? Like that's spring, right? And I think leisure does exactly that for a person. It allows flourishing of self. पर अभी तो हमको पता भी नहीं है हम कौन है.
Exactly.
हमारा मन क्या करता है, हमें जाना कहाँ है, हमें क्यों वहां जाना है. अभी तो we are following the remote control तो out in the world ना.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's weird that we have to exclusively discuss something as mundane as leisure.
Oh, it's sad.
So
it's very sad.
I really hope it penetrates in the society and it gets normalized for every woman.
One of my dreams is to launch like a national leisure hour where people across classes, castes, whatever, across groups, genders, just chill the way they like without phone. I think that's the only condition I want to put it, without phone.
Yes.
And I think that would be a beautiful sight, honestly.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, this project is also very, very beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a vibrant space.
Yeah. And a lot of people are supporting you, and I hope it only increases in number in the coming days.
Yeah.
So what is that one advice you would like to give to the IIT students who are maybe planning to get into social sector?
Yeah.
So what are a few key takeaways from your experience?
Yeah, I think IIT students, when job applications for big corporates come, right, everyone wants an out of the box thinker. Everyone wants to deal with big challenging problems creatively. Nothing is more exciting space than social sector to give you that out of the box thinking, to give you that solid challenges. And will push your creativity to come up with an amazing solution. If the problem solving is not your fun thing, if you really like straight, isko aise karna hai, followed instruction, then of course do something else. But it's a very exciting space.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. So we can wrap up with this.
Thank you.
It was very nice to have you, Surabhi. You are very inspiring, full of energy, and I hope your work spreads across not just in India but also globally.
पहले इंडिया को हमको कवर करना है because India is it's a lot to take care of, but I think that's the hope, to actually come up with models that can that shift the way we think.
It was very nice interacting with you.
Same
Thank you
here.
so much.
Thank you.